Hello, everybody. What's up? This is Gina Ifowe, the one and only African superstar, back at it again with another Unpopular Opinions Live. I want to give a shout out to the customers at AfricanSuperstar.com and also our members only who are designated by the circle next to their name. Big shout outs to all of our viewers. Please subscribe if you're not yet subscribed and you appreciate these unpopular opinions, because they're often unpopular opinions widespread. Today's unpopular opinion is: I believe extreme pressure and stress is an indicator that it is not for you. So I'm going to actually talk about a situation that happened today that some of you guys, can see I'm quite stressed out. And I want to talk about the situation. I also want to apologize to some family members that saw me out and about today in Milton Keynes. I was right in the middle of the situation, and I was a bit taken off guard when they greeted me, and I obviously was preoccupied. So I do apologize. I wasn't in full form, but the stress. And in the West, we are promoted to see difficulty and pressure and resistance. And, we're geared to see it as something that we need to resist against, and we need to persevere through, and we need to be resilient, and we need to multitask. And what I have come to understand since living in Ghana is that oftentimes that friction and those obstacles are there to kind of get your attention that you are going in the wrong way, that you are overwhelming yourself, that you are overextending yourself, and that it's not healthy. I remember when I was younger and I would sit down to a meal, my dad would tell me to take off my coat if I just come in, get myself relaxed for the meal. As we got older and pagers and cell phones got introduced, he would, tell us that we shouldn't have those things at the dinner table when it was time to eat. If we had our Walkman or some kind of toys, we should put everything away and focus on our meal. Okay. I give you that analogy because we are promoted to multitask, but in essence, it's not really healthy. Okay. It's not really healthy to be doing 5 and 6 things at one time. And it actually sets you up for mistakes and missing details and all of this stuff. I believe that extreme pressure, okay, and stress, like what I'm going through currently, is an indication that it's not for me. As I go out into the community in the UK, I see people that are very much adjusted to this lifestyle. They're adjusted to constantly, facing hardships, and they're adjusted to, the harsh weather, and they're adjusted to the injustices, and they're adjusted to, just chaos, in my opinion. So what I've recently been dealing with is a crapshoot of problems, or as we would say, system failures. Okay, when I used to work at the insurance company, it's called system failures. It's opportunities for an issue or problem to be resolved, but the system drops the ball. And we see this a lot of times when, basically people reach the end of their rope. We'll look through the whole situation and we'll say, wow, it could have been fixed there. It could have been fixed there. It could have been fixed there, and usually it's a series of system failures that has led this person to snap. Okay. So don't worry, I'm not snapping, but I'm talking about the situation. So basically last week, my bank did a bank update on the app. Okay. And I haven't been able to do any transactions on my account because I have to approve them through my bank app when I'm moving money or making payments and things like that. And because they did the update, it's asking me for information, such as my name and date of birth and these kind of things. And I'm putting it in and it's saying, oh, this is not accurate information. And basically it boils down to the fact that they are using initials in their system instead of your proper name. Okay. So when you go and put your name in, it's not registering. So far, I've been to the branch one time. I've made about 4 or 5 calls regarding it, and it's still not resolved. It's nearly, it'll be another week in a couple days that I have not had access to my account. Now, I have things ongoing in Ghana that I need to move money. And I spoke to that person. We came up with another solution. They have also a UK account. So I was going to go and make a cash deposit today to their account. I traveled to the other person's bank. I go in the bank and there's one teller. They have these smart branches now where there's all these kiosks and there's all these, cash machines and everything except a physical person, everything except what you actually need. So I wait in the queue 30 minutes. I get to the bank teller and I'm looking for a deposit slip because there's like no deposit withdrawal slips or anything like that. And she informs me that I can't make a cash deposit into someone else's account. Okay. I have to use the app to do an online transaction, which takes me back to the original problem of not being able to get into the app. So because I'm working and my schedule is quite erratic at the moment, I haven't had time to go back to the branch since last Saturday when I went to originally resolve it. And I was told that you can't walk in and see a banker. You have to make an appointment. So this morning I spent 1 hour on the phone trying to make an appointment at this branch. When you call the phone number at the branch, it goes back to their customer service number, and the customer service people don't have power to set up. And the story goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And what I came to realize when I came home today is that extreme pressure and stress is an indicator that it is not for you. I bring this message to you guys because, again, many times this is our norm. I know when I lived in the West, it was my norm as well. Constant chaos and challenges. I felt like I was always escalating up a mountain and I never reached the peak and I didn't get to descend. But every day it just got more and more ridiculous. If I were in Ghana, for instance, and I needed to pay money, there are multiple easy ways to do that. This situation that I have been dealing with for nearly a week, I could have resolved in minutes, a day at the max, if I were in Ghana. What many people that are inside of a bubble don't understand is there are alternative ways to live and perhaps ways that are more suitable for you. Whenever my friends or family encourage me to perhaps return to the West, recently my mom sent me a text message and, she said, oh, you can always move home. I thought to myself, I am no longer equipped for these kind of situations anymore. I'm not prepared to deal with a series of ridiculous problems on a frequent basis, because I have kind of digressed from that. I have realized that this is not the way forward. They promote us to do this, but as we get older, we see the stress causes people a lot of problems. Okay. The stress is causing people health problems. It's giving them mental illness or psychological instabilities, and ultimately reducing their life because they want to function well. They want to do life well. They want to get things completed. I'm a person who takes great pride in my commitments and giving my word to people and delivering on what I say I'm going to do. So, if I tell someone, yeah, I'm going to send you money and I'm going to send it to you by a certain time and date, that's what the fact that this is also making me look as if I'm giving stories is frustrating to me. You know, but as I look at the bigger picture, I realize this is an indicator, you know, that for me, this environment is not where it's at. Many other diasporians echo the same things. You know, when they get beyond America or they get beyond the UK and they travel and things like that, they're able to see that other people are not necessarily living under the same pretenses that they are. I have a very good friend of mine that recently traveled to Europe for the first time. She went to Portugal and she called me and she's like, man, and started telling me about some of the things she was observing and, the fashion and how people were acting and how people were, treating her and, her experience and things like that. And it's very, very eye-opening when you realize, wow, everybody's not dealing with this kind of chaotic situation. Another friend, from university I saw this morning, she posted a really long and saddening post about, basically her mental well-being and how she's not happy with her life as it is. She's not happy with her appearance, and she feels like something's wrong with her. Something must be wrong with her because she's not moving along in life and she's not progressing. And I tell you all this, to encourage you to take an assessment of your situation. If you are constantly under pressure or friction, okay, it could be like it was for me, an environmental thing. It could be a friendship. It could be a relationship. It could be, a failed business or something like that. There's a time when you need to exercise endurance, and then there's a time when you need to retreat out of certain situations. Like I talked about the last time, you can always remove yourself out of a situation. When you realize that, okay, your persistence is going to be futile, now there are obviously things you've got to see through to the end. But, they would tell an athlete, okay, if your ankle is really giving you a lot of problems, it's giving you a lot of pain, you need to get that looked at. I have a girlfriend named Tina, my girlfriend Tina Bina, back in Ohio. And I remember she was having problems with her ankle for the longest time. You know what I'm saying? She would complain about it. Or maybe it was her toes. I can't remember if it was her ankle or her toes. Tina's very tall. She used to play pre-professional basketball and things like that. And so she was complaining about her toes. And I kept telling her week after week, I was like, Tina, you need to get that looked at. You need to get that looked at, Tina. You need to get that looked at. And by the time she finally went, she realized that her toe was broken. And she had been carrying on. And I'm talking about, it was probably months that she was carrying on with this broken toe and didn't know. And so she ended up having to get like a little boot on her feet and, and everything to heal it up and whatnot. But sometimes, and I would think if you struggle with, well, where do I draw the line, Gina? When do I need to persist on and get things done? Or when do I need to say, you know what, this is over my head. I don't need to keep on going this direction. Then I would encourage you to seek wisdom. You can gain wisdom from many different sources. One of the ways that I gained wisdom when I was a young person was observing other people, their wins and their failures. People that I actually looked up to, and people that I didn't want to be anything like them. If I felt, I've never really felt that I didn't have common sense. I'm someone who's quite logical, actually, quite ethical, quite literal as well. But when I would look at something and I would say, yeah, I don't want that outcome, I would analyze that person. I would look at their lifestyle, how they carry on. I would look at what led them up to this situation. And I would do the things, the opposite of what they had done. Or if there were people that had done successful things, I remember there was a lady at my church when I was growing up, and she used to wear these expensive suits, and she drove a nice car, and she was so fashionable and so sophisticated. And, I used to really just like gravitate to her and study her and, want to know what she did, what was her career, and, these kind of things. And that always stuck with me like, wow, this is the kind of person that I would like to become when I grow older. And, we need to stop inundating ourselves with things, beliefs and practices that are not healthy for us and that are not going to see us through. When I look at us persisting in these environments against all this pressure, we've got to look at the end result and ask ourselves, is it worth it? Or am I going to win? Am I going to be successful in these endeavors? If the likelihood is no, then you need to change course. I already understand that me being in these environments, I'm simply spinning my wheels. Okay. I know that they don't care about me. I know they don't care about my well-being, nor are they positioned to escalate me in society. I know that actually the systems are designed to suppress people like me and elevate others that are not like me. So when I look at persisting against that system, I've already determined, well, this is a futile fight. This is unnecessary pressure that I'm putting on myself that's not going to merit me what I want at the end of the day. And that, my friend, is when I realize I don't need to, subject myself to it. Big shout outs to MD and Afroscope TV and everybody else who is seeing this video. Big shout outs to you. Obviously I'll see my bank transaction through, I have to, I have to get that sorted out. But in the grander scheme, do you need to fight every day, guys? Is it healthy for you to fight? Do you need to explain every single day who you are, what you're about? At a certain point, your life should be the track record that people can judge you from to know what you're like. Okay. So when they see MD and they see a beautiful, professional, well-spoken young lady, they should know, okay, she's not hood. She didn't grow up in poverty, or she's not uneducated. They should be able to deduce some things from your track record. But in these settings, your track record means nothing, because they just blanket you. They just blanket you over, and they have a perception of who you are, what you do, what you're all about. Persisting against other people's stereotypes of you is also futile. You can't change that. Nor should you. That's not your responsibility, how other people feel about you or how they view you, especially when you've worked really hard to design your own world, in your life, and be strategic. Big shout outs to Brown Coat Blue. Extreme pressure and stress is an indicator that it's not for you. Okay? When you have been in it, driving at it, and it just keeps fighting you back, and you feel like you're just putting in so much effort and it's so draining to you, and you don't feel like there's any gratification. Take these, examples, take these warnings rather, that maybe you're going in the wrong direction, and that's why you're getting so much friction. For me, life in Ghana is just easier. It's more accommodating. It's more laid back. It's more understanding. If you get into traffic and you're a bit late to your appointment in Ghana, they're not going to reject you and say, oh, you were 5 minutes late. Look at you like a blank screen with no empathy and no understanding. Okay. I'd say if I arrive at the bank 2 minutes after the time that I was scheduled to start my appointment, it's very obvious that I was en route at the time that I should have been. Okay. Because how could I be there within 2 minutes? That's very close to the time. Now, I'd say if I show up 3 hours late, then that's a clear indication, yeah, you were not on your way at the time that you should be. But here in the West, 3 hours and 2 minutes is the same thing, and they don't care. Matter of fact, when you go to conduct business, they're giving you they're trying to discount you at every stage. Do you have this? Do you have that? Oh, well, we can't accept that. Oh, well, sorry, this is not proper. Oh, you need to go back. Well, this statement is actually, it has to be within 30 days. I know that it's actually 35 according to his paperwork, but I'm sorry, it has to be within. You see, they use all these things to make your life complicated because criminals and fraudsters are doing what they want to do no matter what. But the everyday person is getting stressed and inconvenienced every time. But to me, it's just an indicator. It's just yet another reminder that it's not for me. And I would also say, for those of you that watch this channel and watch me, respectfully, don't promote me to go back into environments that are chaotic and stressful for me. If you care about me, respect my decision that maybe for me, I'm just no longer equipped. You guys might see me as strong and tenacious and all of this, but I'm telling you that I'm not equipped for it. It's beyond my boundaries anymore. So big shout outs to those of you guys that watch this unpopular opinion. Thank you for letting me air myself out. Because this morning, and once again, to that family that ran into me today when I was coming out of the other bank and I was very frustrated. Again, I do apologize. It's for me, I think because I'm so transparent, the effect of being in different environments is very, very evident, extremely evident. Even those of you guys that have not met me in real life, you can see the difference of my demeanor, depending on where I am. And so I realized a long time ago in this setting, I'm very, very angry, uptight, tired, stressed. I mean, even I look at myself, I'm just like, wow, I look unkept, I look not my optimum currently. Big shout outs to the family. So yes, anyway, thanks for listening to my unpopular opinions. Make sure you subscribe if you like such viewing, and become a part of our family. And big shout outs to everybody today. I hope you guys have a really good day. Be encouraged. Those of you guys experiencing similar or more difficult situations as I am, I really empathize with people that are going through it on an everyday basis. It's very intense and it's very stressful. And I mean, I'm not justifying it, but I see why some people snap sometimes. I really do understand. Because something that is so simple is made so complicated. And then people are laissez-faire. They're carefree. They don't care. As you go express to them, look, this is creating a lot of problems for me. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I understand because people at the call centers, they're stressed out too. Everybody's stressed. So it's just, and that's what makes the environment the way that it is. The fact that everybody is stressed. So there's really no room for your problem in their world because their world is full of their own problems. Versus when I felt like it was less pressure, less pressurized. I feel like my parents grew up in a less pressurized time. There was room for people to be generous and caring and hospitable and compassionate because their life wasn't, consumed with drama and stress. But now that so many people are facing difficult situations, they're just like, well, I'm sorry to hear that. But they don't really have time to entertain your problems because their problems are so consuming. That's one of the things. I'm going to wrap up soon. That's one of the things I absolutely love about Ghana. I will never forget when I ran into a friend at a Accra Mall one day. And, this was probably like maybe 2018 or so. I was just out and about, ran into a friend at the Accra Mall and said, you know what, let's get something to eat. And then we ended up going from there. We went to another spot and had a drink. And we ended up spending like the whole afternoon together. And it was just an impromptu thing. And it was just kind of like, let's chill. And I had so many of those days in Ghana, spent time with Eternal Blossom, spent time with Sister Yah. Last time I saw Sister Yah, we went out to her land. We spent the whole day together. Spent time with Monica. You know what I'm saying? My girl Lalit, she don't be really having that much time, but that's okay. I forgive her. She's got a job and 3 children and a husband, and she's busy. But I mean, all the time, people have time. People have time to interact with you, and it's so powerful. Because when I actually sit back and think, hey, when's the last time I got to sit down and have a meal with a friend of mine in the UK? When's the last time I bumped into somebody out and about and we end up spending the whole afternoon? Forget it. Nobody has time here for that. Nobody has time. Even when you give them a phone call, they're like, hey, I'm on the other line. I'm doing this. I'm doing it. I'll call you right back. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. People don't have time for family or friends. They don't have time for social life. They don't have time for exercise. They don't have time for their religion or whatever. They actually have to carve out time to have a well-rounded life. And that's what I love about Ghana is I can have quality of life. I can have quality of life. I can go sit by the pool if I want. I can spend the whole day in my bed if I want. I have a vibrant social life and friends. A neighborhood that when they don't see me for a couple of days, like, hey, how have you been? Where did you go? Are you okay? I love it. So that's today's message. Big shout outs to the family. Like I said, thank you as always for being a listening ear. But most importantly, evaluate your own situation. Do not put unnecessary stress on yourself. Do not tolerate it. The older we get, the more these things should be reducing in our life. Okay, the more that we should be able to be regressing from the extreme stress and pressure. When we're teenagers or when we're, young people or in the university, and we're really trying to persist, we're really trying to overcome and excel, you put maximum effort in. But as we get older, those things should be paying off. Okay, that's how it goes. So maybe if you did used to live, endure harder times or whatever, as you get older, you should be able to have more comfort in your life, whatever that means. That takes evaluation of situations to say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't need this anymore. So big shout outs to the family. I'm out. I hope you guys have like a lovely day. I will see you again very soon. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.